Ayo. Welcome to Book It Vince, the Wrestling Dream Match podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Martin Bennett. And with me, as always, is the bad guy, Anthony Hall.
Oh, man. R.I.P. R.I.P. to the bad guy, Scott Hall. Damn.
Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, member of NWO, one of the best Intercontinental champions. Just entertaining. Yeah. No, just it sucks, but you know, he'll be missed. He gave us great years of entertainment, great matches to watch. So go check out a Scott Hall match. Personal favorite, the ladder match, the first ever ladder match, him and Shawn Michaels. It's very weird compared to what we know of ladder matches now, but it's like, it's still very, very good. So
I don't know if I've ever watched that, so I should probably get
WrestleMania 10. One of the best WrestleManias.
Oh,
that's the one where it opens with Bret Hart versus Owen Hart, and Owen wins. And then the main event is Lex Luger versus Yokozuna. Lex Luger gets screwed out of the title, and then Bret gets a shot at the title, and Bret wins.
We love a good Yokozuna moment.
Bret wins the title, and there's this great shot of like Owen looking onward. But in the middle of that show, it is this insane ladder match between Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, and Shawn Michaels. So, but yeah, I know it sucks when we lose a legend, but at least. Hey, thank you to DDP for helping Scott get on his feet, and so that he could help out some of the younger generation over the past couple of years in various ways. And there's some hilarious, if you want to laugh, there are some hilarious Scott Hall and Diamond Dallas Page videos out there, and they're really funny. I shared Anthony one where it was like, I forget what exactly it was, but it was them playing WWE 2K like 13 or something. Like it was like it was old, but it was so funny. It's like DDP, Scott Hall, and Jake the Snake, and it's just them trying to play the video game, and it's so funny. But anyways,
old dudes just trying to play video games, just trying to do the moves.
But anyways, welcome to a brand new episode. Every other week, we book dream matches here on the podcast, dream rivalries that we would like to see in the world of professional wrestling, whether they're from the past or the present or maybe the future. We don't know. If you like what we do here on the podcast, please consider following the podcast on whatever podcast platform you get yours on, or come watch the video version on YouTube. So Anthony, WrestleMania is right around the corner.
Oh boy, do I care so much. I care so much about the things that are about to happen on WrestleMania.
It's the show of shows. It's
two nights.
The big time.
2 nights of me taking piss breaks between every match. Because I need to go to the doctor.
Because I have a problem. I'm excited just for some of the matches. You know, it's like, it's definitely gotten to a point where the spectacle is bigger than the stars and the stories, which is sad, but you know, it'll be fun at the same time. And lately I've been thinking about specifically the women's tag team division. Is it even a division? I don't know anymore.
I don't know.
But the world of women's tag team wrestling, because, you know, we do have the Fatal 4-Way now at Mania for the title, which PSA hey, you want to put more women on your show? How about give them better feuds, more stories where it's not centered around a title, so you don't have to squish 8 women into a tag team title match like you've done literally every year at Mania, like for the past 3 years. Basically.
Who is even in this fatal 4-way for the tag titles?
The champions are Queen Zelina and Carmella.
Of course, of Carmella and Corey.
Yeah, they've really made sure you know that is part of this story. You got Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, which actually has become a pretty awesome team.
One big, one small. Can they win it all?
They complement each other very well. Like the tag team that people have been naming them is Live for Brutality.
Wow.
Yeah. You got Sasha Banks and Naomi, which they complement each other very well, but at the same time, they haven't really been doing much. It was this weird thing of like Sasha came out, had a match, Naomi came out at ringside, and then they got in the ring and they went, we're a tag team now. And you're like, okay.
Are they faces?
Yes.
So Sasha's a face now.
I think she was supposed to be all along. I don't know. I'm okay with them, playing the gray zone of like, is she a face or she was a heel, so she still has heelish tendencies, but it does sort of make some stories confusing. And then the final team is Shayna Baszler and Natalya, which were literally added to the match last week.
This
after they attacked everybody, and then they were like, "Yep, we're in the match.
We are 2 heels. We are mean. Therefore, we can be a team."
Yep.
Wow, that doesn't make a ton of sense, but hey, who's gonna argue with the boat?
Exactly.
Who's gonna argue?
I hope that either Rhea and Liv or Naomi and Sasha win, just because it'll be nice to see them with the belts. But it's just, it goes back to that whole thing of like, you have these belts. You're supposed to have women's tag team wrestling. You need like good, strong tag team work and knowledge and moves and wrestling. And I think that the best women's tag team ever in WWE was the Iconics, just because they were literally, that was their whole thing, was being a tag team.
True.
You do have like the superpowers of Bayley and Sasha, which makes sense. Putting like any combination of the 4 horsewomen together works.
Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai were pretty awesome together.
Yep, that's very true. But there hasn't really been like a combo that was like, yes, these two belong together. These two are supposed to be together. And what I think needs to happen, whether it be in WWE or Impact or AEW or ROH or wherever, there needs to be, I think what we need to do is we need to take an old stable gimmick and repackage it with women instead. And the first one that came into my mind, and this actually was a long time ago, and I had this random thought where I went, why hasn't there been a female Road Warriors? Why hasn't there been a female Legion of Doom? Which they're 2 in the same, if you didn't know. And I thought that would be so cool. Like, Anthony, I told Anthony this idea, and he said, "Oh, I don't really know the Road Warriors. I don't really know Legion of Doom that well, except for, well, you said,
oh, they have spikes on football pads, and they have pretty cool tag team finisher, and they got face paint. They wear face paint, and they're big boys."
Oh yeah, and so you have the Legion of Doom tag team in the 80s. well, actually, well, it's like late 80s, early 90s, I believe. Yeah. Originally formed in New Japan.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Well, it was like they were on yeah, they're in Georgia Championship Wrestling for a while, but like they got popular in not New Japan, sorry, All Japan
Oh, okay.
in the mid 80s. And then they joined AWA, NWA, like they went through every territory and became champions.
That's amazing.
And yeah, the Road Warriors were one of the most widely popular tag teams in the late 80s, early 90s. And
So for somebody who is like not super familiar with the Road Warriors, if you could like distill down what their gimmick is, how would you describe it to somebody who is unfamiliar?
Big men
Okay.
who love to fight.
Big men.
It's hard. It's hard to say.
Fight.
It's the whole idea of the Road Warriors were that they were just these two dudes, Animal and Hawk. They had this face paint. They had the football pads with the spikes on it.
That's right.
They'd come in and they would just wreck shop. And it was that thing of like these two big guys teaming up together to like take all comers and to leave everyone in their dust.
So would you say that their wrestling style was like powerhouse?
Oh yeah.
Kind of lots of just like impressive feats of strength and or maneuvers where they just toss people around and bodied them all around the ring.
Basically. As Anthony sort of mentioned, they have a cool tag team finisher, which is the Doomsday Device, which is the electric chair into a clothesline off the top rope. And it's been used by like every tag team in history since.
That's true. And also, it's like if you ever want a higher than 4-star rated tag team match, you're probably going to do this tag team finisher at some point in time as a spot in your match.
They did it. They did it last night in the women on Raw this week. They did it in the tag team in the women's tag team match. And one of the commentators I forget his name. It's like Jimmy something. It's like he's the MMA commentator that they brought in on Raw forever ago.
Yeah. He's the middle guy, the guy that's not fun.
He's the color commentator, but he called it like an assisted clothesline. And it's like, no, that's the Doomsday Device, Jimmy. Come on. Like, come on,
you should
man.
know this. If you are going to last in this business, you should know that move is called the Doomsday Device.
But anyways, so yeah, they were Road Warriors for a while, and then when they came into the WWF, the name was changed to the Legion of Doom, just because I don't know what. I think it's because McMahon. I remember watching the Dark Side of the Ring episode about Road Warriors, and I think it was something about like it just sounded scarier, which is true. Legion of Doom is a very good name. Road Warriors is very good too. And it's funny, actually, it's WrestleMania. I forget which WrestleMania it was where they actually won the tag team titles. That's the iconic. They came in on motorcycles. They were the Road Warriors. They were cheered by everybody. And yeah, so they were they're like quintessential late 80s tag team, because it was like you had a lot of like tag teams that were like the Pretty Men or like the like young upstarts. You know, you're in an era where you have things like the Rockers, the Midnight Express, the Four Horsemen. You have like Greg the Hammer Valentine and Brutus Beefcake. Like, but then you have these two dudes who come in and they're just absolutely terrifying. Then everybody else who's trying to be like the superstar, you know, and these guys come in and there's like, we just want to beat everybody up.
Yeah. So it would be fun then, because we were just talking about the Fatal 4-Way that is at WrestleMania. And if you told me again, all these women who were in the match, and then we compared it to sort of the tag team scene that you had just described that existed at the time of the Road Warriors, like we can see some parallels here, right? Like the champions are sort of these like very pretty, I'd say like in a way their characters are presented as quite like dainty individuals, but they can still wrestle, of course.
Yeah, it's more, it's like women's wrestling now. Okay, welcome to the podcast where two men talk about women's wrestling. I'm not going to put a judgment on it because obviously, you know, I as a man, but what I feel about women's wrestling is like, I think right now we have the perfect combination in women's wrestling where it's like you can be anything, which is awesome. And obviously, when, you know, it's a spectacle, you want to present yourself in the best way possible, or whatever's for your character. And I think in WWE, it is more glitz and glam than it is for any other promotion, obviously. So you have that. And I wouldn't say dainty. I'd say that these women, like, it's more of like you can be whatever kind of, you can be whoever you want, and still be a good wrestler. But it is that the people that have sort of shined in WWE are the like the cruiserweight style women, where it's like you're a bit smaller, so you're faster, you're more agile, you can do
right. Yeah. We got like the high flying maneuvers, quick strikes, just kind of more dynamic movements as opposed to like more technical wrestling.
More technical wrestling or really big powerhouses. And like there's only a couple of big powerhouse women in WWE. And so I just figured, what if you took two big women, and by big I mean like skyscrapers, powerhouse, built like a brick shit house. And they tag teamed up because they realized, hey, we are the two biggest, strongest women, and we could dominate the tag team world.
And I think the way you got to set it up, of course, is some classic shit where it's like they individually are starting to, you know, be down on their position in the company. They're getting beat. They're getting jobbed out to people, and you have sort of this moment of realization. Maybe they get slapped together in a random match, as they do in the WWE, where it's like, all right, let's just put two people together to face the current champions. But then something magical happens, and they realize, ho, we got something here.
I also think that, like, honestly, like, even disappearing and then coming back together, where it's like it's that classic, oh, this person showed up, and then all of a sudden the other person shows up and like they're facing off, but it turns out they're a tag team.
Oh yeah,
because another big part of Legion of Doom, Road Warriors, that a lot of people, well, wrestling people talk about, but in the general, what's it called, sphere of just wrestling knowledge and remembrance, people forget they had a manager pretty much the entire time they were together.
Oh,
and of course, that manager being, do you know?
The Paul Ellering.
It was Paul Ellering, yeah. And Paul Ellering was like a small, like tiny, thin man who just was very good at talking, because Animal and Hawk weren't perfect at talking. Right. They could do promos, but
I remember this specifically because when we were doing our episode of ranking the managers, I was like, who did Paul Ellering manage aside from AOP? And you're like, the Legion of Doom. And I was like,
yeah,
Oh,
Yeah. He's like him and
right.
him and Jim Cornette are like the most famous like tag team managers. Like Jim Cornette managed like, I don't know, dozens and dozens of tag teams when he was in like the WWF. So
he also told us to suck his ass or something like that on
Twitter. Yeah.
Back in the day when we had a lowly like 81 followers or whatever.
Yeah, suck it, Jim. Look at
We're
us
in the hundreds
now.
now. We're in the hundreds now, Jim.
Anyways, and then there was people like Bobby the Brain Heenan and like tons of managers. But like, yeah, Paul Ellering is one of the most famous like tag team managers, and I feel like in WWE and NXT he really didn't get to do much.
He opened up a book when AOP came out. He had a small book and he opened it up. And he was like, look at these scary boys. I have a very scary book.
I mean, yeah, that was very much trying to like take the spirit of what the Road Warriors were. But I think then what we need is like, you need a manager. You need someone who, because even though I feel like a lot of the big women in wrestling today, and we'll talk basically, this isn't going to be really booking like a feud or like it's going to be booking like how this team comes together and who we think it should be. Who the female Legion of Doom should be. But you need a manager, and that's tricky because most of the big women can cut promos and are pretty good at it. So it's trying to figure out who fits that dynamic really well. Should it be a man or a woman who is a really great, obviously there's tons of dudes out there who are great talkers, but should it be a woman? Who would it be? You know, but I guess we'll get into that as we think.
Yeah. I think if we're going to really go fully into this gimmick of bringing the Road Warriors, but giving it a female spin, we should absolutely have a female manager as well. And somebody who comes to my mind who is small, who can talk, and isn't presently doing anything, it could probably use a repackage just for fun, is Alexa Bliss. So I know she, of course, is a very good wrestler in her own right. And she maybe shouldn't be reduced to being a manager. Not that being a manager is bad, but I think it would be a fun role for her. Let's say maybe right now she can't wrestle, or in this fictional universe of the Road Warrior, she is out with some sort of injury that makes it so she cannot compete in ring. So it's like a la Samoa Joe going to the commentary desk. Alexa Bliss.
I mean, I don't know. It's that dynamic of like two giant people and one small person. Like you always have to have that. Like it has to be dynamic in that way. So Alexa Bliss would fit that really, really well. I'm trying to think of if any legends, any like famous legends who is really good at cutting promos.
And let's be sure to give Alexa Bliss a very big book, just one very large book that she can open up. So,
I mean, yeah, Alexa Bliss would be she can cut promos very, very well, and that would fit in where it's like, man, I really hope we get to see like a Paul Heyman level woman manager in our lifetime, because like
that'd be really awesome.
There should be someone in that regard. And
I thought Paige was going to be that person. Honestly,
yeah,
I thought that when Paige debuted and she brought in, Absolution, was that what they were called? Yes. When that was the thing, I was like, okay, I see some potential here. Like Paige as a manager is fun.
Well, she originally was supposed to wrestle,
right? I mean, I do remember that, and she just got immediately injured.
And then she became SmackDown GM.
Hey, shouts out to you, Paige, for your
of course.
diverse skill set and willingness to do any and every role in the WWE.
I mean, having Paige as the manager of this new team would be pretty good because she fits sort of the aesthetic.
That's true. You're right. She's not super tiny. That's mostly just for a fun sort of stage picture, but she would be a dope manager for sure.
She's not that short. She's 5'8", which is basically as tall as like all the women that I have.
All of the other women,
pulled up. So, but anyways, so I think then it's trying to figure out the perfect combination for this team. And, we started out talking about WWE, but maybe this doesn't happen necessarily in WWE. So I have a list of women pulled up who I think could potentially be a part of it. And I think like more than anything, like we'll just talk about if we think that these women should belong in this team, like, because it's tricky because I want to pick two people that would fit really well together. But at the same time, some of these ladies are like doing really well with their gimmicks and with what they're doing right now. So it's kind of tricky. So if we're sticking in WWE, the first like name that pops up in my head, at least right now, is Charlotte Flair. She is out of pretty much all the people who are on the main roster and have been established there for a long time. She is that like big, tall, powerful presence and attitude and personality. But of course, she's a Flair. So it's not, I wouldn't necessarily see her pulling on some football pads and face paint and and going with that.
The thing is, attitude. Like she could try to, separate herself from the gimmick that she's been using for her entire career, right? Which is essentially just Ric Flair, but a lady. So like if she wants to distance herself from that and actually, carve out something that's a little bit different. It's the same, but different. She could jump into that Road Warriors persona.
Another WWE. Currently, we already talked about her. Going for tag team gold and has been a tag team champion before. Rhea Ripley, who I think is like a top contender for this. Because Rhea is sort of that like I'm a powerhouse, like that's basically her gimmick. She's established her own style, and it's not necessarily, I mean, that's the thing is the Road Warriors like aesthetic was very 80s, at the time. And so like, would you do that today? Maybe not, maybe a little bit, but I think you could have it be that sort of metal. What's another good word to describe her look? Hardcore,
spiky, yeah. Hardcore and spiky. I think metalcore is a really good choice. Yeah, a hardcore, heavy metal rock kind of rock chic.
I mean, she basically comes in with a jacket that has a bunch of spikes on it, so it's like it's almost there, and like she can talk when she wants to, but like if you pair her with another like powerhouse, like I would say they'd be unstoppable, honestly.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good one. We got Raquel Gonzalez in NXT.
That's another tall lady.
I mean, she's one of the tallest women to ever compete in WWE. I mean, go with, take the face value of the stats that I find online of what people say, but apparently she's 6 feet. She's 6 foot tall, which is as tall as China was. So she's one of the tallest women in WWE history. And I don't know. What do you think? Like, I think she's there with the aesthetic of like the powerhouse. She can be mean. I mean, even just being in NXT and being NXT Women's Champion, her thing was she was a bodyguard, and then she became popular enough that she was able to break out on her own and like establish herself. But like, maybe I'm also too removed right now from NXT because I haven't been watching NXT 2.0 at all.
Yeah.
So I don't know what her character has been like, but like her thing was being like the big woman. So
yeah, and she's got big powerhouse moves.
And I think they were trying to do like a Kevin Nash sort of rehash with her, right? Like Big Mama Cool.
They did that originally when I think she was with Dakota Kai, and they had the kind of parallel, like her, like Dakota as Sean and her as like the big bodyguard of Kevin Nash. Right. So, yeah. And since then, I don't know if she's really gotten like character development or anything like that. So maybe she would be good. And also her and Rhea are good friends.
Yeah, that would be like pretty amazing to watch. And they, of course, had a bit of a feud back in the day in NXT. So they got some history.
So there's that. But there are other big women in wrestling that could be good in other promotions. Some of the ones that I have pulled up. One that is currently not actually in any promotion, I believe, is Jessamine Duke.
Oh, yeah.
I've always been a fan of Jessamine
Duke.
Yeah. She is a tall lady. She's 5'11".
Oh, nice.
But she's not as the last time I remember seeing her on TV was she's an MMA fighter, so she's more slimmed down, so she is faster, which could be an interesting dynamic of like her and someone like Rhea. You got someone that's big and strong, and you got someone who's big and fast. But I mean, if we're trying to do Legion of Doom, Road Warriors, then they both need to be just big and strong.
Yeah, I think you need to match both of them as much as you can in terms of like stature and build, so that you can get that perfect tag team harmony. And having people who pair together who are friends outside of the ring or who have worked together and have sort of that built-in chemistry is like, I think, very important. Like that would be a really good choice, is Rhea Ripley and Raquel Gonzalez getting managed by Paige as like a new age female Legion of Doom would be like pretty crazy. Ladies of Doom, very crazy.
That'd be pretty good. Actually, that's a good name. Yeah, it's tricky. Like, actually funny to touch on that when you said like, oh yeah, it's good to have like friends being tag teams, and like, so they have that history, you can build story off of that, and they have that relationship and stuff. Funny thing is, Animal and Hawk in Road Warriors weren't really friends at all.
Wow.
It's one of those funny stories where you hear that. And I remember watching Scotty 2 Hottie get interviewed by Chris Van Vliet. And he talks about how one of the biggest misconceptions of Too Cool was that him and what was Grandmaster Sexy's real name again?
Brian Christopher.
Yeah. That they were friends. They weren't really friends. They were work friends. They were put together, and because you're a tag team, you basically have to travel all the time together. But like, they weren't really friends when they sort of split up and stopped wrestling and stuff. They never really talked, and kind of I don't think that was necessarily the same with Animal and Hawk. I believe that they, they had to do the same thing where it's like, you're on the road together, you're stuck together, like you have to. But it's that thing of like that Hawk had a lot of addiction problems and all of that, and getting arrested and whatnot, and so there was that tension between them. But it's actually fun. Yeah, there's a surprising amount of tag teams, famous tag teams, where they never really were friends. It's just because they were put together and they became so popular that they were like, we have to like stay together.
But there are also famous tag teams that are literally, you know, like inseparable because they are linked by friendship or like by blood. Like they're literally just siblings.
Yeah. So, but it was just that just reminded me of that funny story of that. Yeah, it's like you have this world famous tag team, and they kind of like were just mutual acquaintances.
Yeah,
in different ways, just because of each other's personality.
But you wonder if that would affect performance. Like, you know, you wonder if that affected the peak of this team when they were at the top, right? Like, if they were better friends and respected each other more, whatever, like, is there a higher ceiling for them? Or, you know, could they have been better? But then again, like, who knows? Like, does being friends endear you to the person who's booking the show?
Mm-hmm.
I guess not. I guess that's for God to decide, or Mr. McMahon.
Yeah, exactly. For the big man upstairs in the office. Another name that could be very good for this. One of my personal favorites, Kylan King.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she's pretty awesome.
She's like one of the only like big women that has really been a part of AEW. Like, yeah, Statlander is athletic, but she's not tall. Well, Kylan King is, I think, at least 5'10". Oh, never mind. Yep, I thought this. I was like, I thought she was taller than that. Nope, she's 6'1". She's the tallest.
So she is the tallest.
I thought she was taller. I was like, when I was saying that stuff about Raquel, I was like, yeah, she says she's the tall, but she was the tallest in WWE. But yeah, Kylan King is 6'1". She's tall. She's the tallest woman that's been in AEW, I believe. I think there's been a couple of women that have like nearly reached her, but yeah, no, she's big. And
how tall is Jade Cargill?
That's a good question, actually. That was another name I sort of thought of, but again, it's that thing of like, why, you know, we would say Charlotte Flair maybe shouldn't be someone who switches what she's currently doing to become this. I would honestly say the same thing about Jade. Like, I think that Jade I think what she's doing right now is really, really, really strong. And so I wouldn't think of wanting to change that up or switch it. And I think she's too, there's another name I want to mention who they're women who I think have a really good thing going for them. And it would be such a departure to change into this like a Legion of Doom Road Warriors character. Jade is 5'10", supposedly.
Okay.
I say
so
supposedly because
shorter.
I'm going off of Pro Wrestling Fandom Wiki, which they could be the correct stats or maybe not. But Kylan King, like, I think could potentially have the ability to switch into that. She's a good promo. She's very powerful. She's very strong. She's also very athletic. So
looks
she
good
could,
with the face paint. She already does the face paint sometimes, so it's already there.
She's currently, I believe, the champion at Mission Pro, which is Mission Pro Wrestling. If you haven't checked it out yet, please check it out. It's Thunder Rosa's promotion. It's all women, literally all women. The wrestlers, the referees, the announcers, the managers, the commentary group, the production team, literally all women.
Has it always been all women, Mission Pro?
Yep.
Wow.
That was the whole vision of what they wanted to do, was an all women's and it's picked up, and there's a lot of great wrestlers in it. also notably, the tag team champions in Mission Pro right now are the Renegade Twins, who have slowly been making their way into AEW. They've done a bunch of singles matches, but I think they're saving them for possibly doing a tag team match and showing up and gaining more speed. But this could be a good thing for Mission Pro if you had two big women who showed up, finally able to take the titles off of the Renegade Twins. Maybe this is another thing of this team going around the indies and literally taking every women's championship that they could, or like establishing dominance within the indie scene. You never know. I think
just more belt collector gimmicks, but this time it's a tag team.
Well, I mean, hey, the belt collector gimmick in tag teams is something that like people like. That was what the Young Bucks did. Mm-hmm. They were the belt collectors. I think they had like 5 different promotions tag belts at one point. And now that's the Briscoes. Now the Briscoes are doing that.
Them boys.
So maybe it's time for the women to do that.
And now we're going to book a female version of the Briscoes. Just
that'd be crazy. So I guess then another name that I think could be thrown into this hat. This also, like I just said, kind of about Jade and kind of about Charlotte, is another one where I look at her and I go, yes, you fit this aesthetic, but I don't know if your character fits this or if you'd be able to shift your character to this. And that's Camille from the current NWA Women's Champion.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome too. Do we know how tall she is?
Supposedly she is 5'10", but
big time bodybuilder.
But she's built like Jade, like her.
Yeah.
Jade, and who else is kind of like they are body, like they are big muscular women, but they have this, it's kind of like the three of them, Camille, Jade, and Charlotte, kind of fit into this area of like they feel like wrestling royalty because they have this elegance about them, but they are powerhouses. Like you look at them and you're like, damn, this is like the combination of like a supermodel and like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, it is really impressive to watch Camille as well. And the fact that she didn't really talk much in her initial sort of run in the NWA, because she was basically I'd say like manager / valet to Nick Aldis. It was like very interesting to see her step into the ring and then kind of just beat people down and sort of assert dominance as this large figure that was just a big threat to the entire division. And that really does fit that brand well of the Legion of Doom being a team that just goes in and wrecks shop and is incredibly competitive.
I mean, that's and like I watched her last promo from this past weekend when it was the Crockett Cup. And it was because the Crockett Cup was a 2-night event. And so on the first, I think it was on the second night was the women's championship, and it was Kylie Ray versus Chelsea Green versus Camille. But on the first night, she cut a promo where she was talking about how she's going to be the forever champ. She doesn't want to have like 10. I think it was this like dig at Charlotte Flair where she's like, I don't care about how many title reigns I want. I just want to hold this belt forever. And she was a good promo. I didn't know she was Southern. I don't think I've ever heard her talk before or seen a promo of hers. And I saw that promo and I thought she would have an accent. I didn't know it was a heavy Southern accent, which caught me off guard, but it was also quite entertaining. So yeah, these are like the base, like the kind of like half a dozen women that I think would be really good for this, but it's like, what's the combination? Obviously, if this was strictly WWE, then I think we both agree that like Rhea Ripley and Raquel Gonzalez would be the perfect combination, just because they're already there. They're both big and strong. And then all you just need to do is put them in spikes, give them face paint, have them wreck shop and just power bomb people. Do the doomsday device.
They've both been a part of tag teams as part of TV programs for quite some time, right? Like obviously Rhea Ripley is going to be wrestling at WrestleMania with Liv Morgan. And there has been like a story in NXT 2.0 with Raquel and Cora Jade. So they're kind of actually mirroring themselves in a way. And why don't you just
WWE loves to do you can't have two of the same unless they're like identical. Like it's this thing of it's actually very, very funny where it's like, okay, you want a tag team. They have to be, it seems now it's either like they have to be basically a mirror or they have to be polar opposites. So you have like currently in WWE, you have teams like Street Profits where, you know, they are a unit. That's what they are. You have RK Bro, which is based like, again, that's where it's polar opposites. Yeah. You have the Alpha Academy, like it's kind of the same, but polar opposites. You have a big chonky guy and a short, small.
You could argue that the Street Profits is like that too. Like Dawkins is more of like the low to the ground powerhouse, and then Tez is like the high flyer dynamic.
In terms of styles, yes, but I say one and the same in the sense that like they are a unit rather than two individuals coming together.
That's true. They are a tag team. Like
and
100,
and their style is built off of like working together, and that you can have two people that are different styles. Like pretty much every tag team is like two people with different styles. Even like FTR, Young Bucks, like all those great tag teams are like people who are two individuals that have different wrestling styles. But what I mean is like they like coordinate like their look, the feel, their gimmick. That's like right. It is like you if you took them apart from each other, it would be okay, but like them together is what makes them entertaining. And that's basically what they've done with Raquel and with Rhea is like they just went, hey, look at Shawn Michaels and Kevin Nash. Let's do that for both of them. Where it was like Raquel and Dakota. And then now it's Raquel and Cora Jade. And then on the main roster, it was Nikki Cross and Rhea Ripley. And now it's Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. But it's like, what if you just took the two big women and put them together? And then you just have like Brothers of Destruction, Legion of Doom. One of my favorite tag teams. I don't know any of their matches that well, or I don't know really any of their stuff, but they just aesthetically, the Natural Disasters.
Oh,
Earthquake and Typhoon, baby. Just two absolutely giant dudes.
Yeah. that's pretty fun. That is pretty fun.
If you were going to, if this was going to be outside of WWE, who do you think would be good to pair together?
Well, I think if we put Kylan King with Camille, there's a good chance that could work. Camille, of course, is the champion at NWA right now, but you can't be the champion forever. Sorry, Camille. So when that eventually stops happening, like let's give Kylan King a big push with a partner in AEW. Like, why not? And let's throw in a manager in there too. Like, maybe not Vicky Guerrero, but we don't really have many other manager characters for our lady wrestlers in.
What about
AEW?
Mickie James.
Interesting.
Mickie James,
I like that.
or Gail Kim.
Oh, shout out to the Canadian legend, Gail Kim.
Gail Kim managing Camille and Kylan. That would be
Yeah, that would be really cool. That would be really cool.
Really dumb. I just thought, oh no, that's bad. That's bad. Can we change one of their letters to a C so it's not Camille, Kim, and Kylan?
Oh yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah, that's bad. But that was an accident.
That's an accident. Okay. Anyways, but no, it would be cool because Gail Kim was always good at talking, and she's a legend, and so it's like having her be like
before her time. Truly before her time. I don't want to turn this into a Gail Kim podcast or fanboy.
That's fine. Gail Kim, please come on our podcast.
but she was a Canadian legend, of course, and I think her wrestling style and her look when she was in the WWE is more suited for what we currently have. You know, like imagine Gail Kim thrown down with Sasha Banks. Prime Gail Kim, Sasha Banks.
Mm-hmm.
Like what a barn burner that would be. You know, maybe that's another episode. Gail, hop on. Tell us who you want to wrestle. You know, book it with us.
Gail Kim and Sasha Banks would be very good. Very
so
good.
You know that's a really great idea.
I think if she saw the talents of like Kylan King and Camille and went like these two women are huge, like. Are big, are strong, or powerful. If we put them together, we'd be unstoppable. And she can be the mouthpiece for them, but they can each individually be able to speak if they wanted to, and they just do like all the big men like hoss fight shit.
Yeah, and also it kind of the nice thing about Gail Kim as well, back to Gail, is that she's also an Impact legend, and you know what promotion has a really good women's tag team division. I believe it would be the Impact Knockouts. So that is already like a built-in relationship with that company. You bring in Kylan and the Brick House, and you are the new age Legion of Doom, and you go in and you wreck that division. You absolutely dominate, and
they could even
be great matches.
And like maybe there's been someone who's been listening to this whole podcast and go and thinking, oh well, you know, well, you're just gonna slap that gimmick onto them, like put them in football pads and put them face paint and stuff. It doesn't necessarily need to be that. It could be just like this thing of having these two women like be the powerhouses, and like be the top of women's tag team wrestling. They just share a similar aesthetic. They just share they do just the presentation of it where it is you have a manager and you have two women who just enter in the match, destroy people, become champion, raise their hands, intimidate people, like do all that. And then at a big event, you have them come out with the football pads or the face paint.
Yeah, it would be like
the motorcycles,
cool, like a nod to the Legion of Doom. Also, I think that Camille might have played in the at one point it was called the Lingerie Football League, but now it's called the Legends Football League. And I think there probably exists an image of Camille with football pads on already.
Hey, maybe.
And here it is.
Okay,
there she is.
Cool. So yeah, there's that.
It's a look that exists already, and it could be a more. It's like it doesn't have to be that, you know, like you said, it's a special event thing. Like they can still come out with a very specific look, but like it doesn't have to be that.
I mean, it's the thing of if this was on the indies. So like we basically said that like if it was WWE, so we have two scenarios. If it was WWE, you have Alexa Bliss make her return, and make her return. Obviously, like Rhea Ripley takes some time off. Raquel disappears from NXT, and then Alexa Bliss makes her return, and whoever's champion at the time or whatever, not even necessarily tag team champions, but just anyone. She comes back and she says, you know, you don't want to make it be that sort of basically what happened with like even Paige, even if it was Paige coming back and she like makes her big return. She says, I brought backup, and then all of a sudden it's Rhea Ripley and Raquel coming in and just destroying whoever's there.
How about this though? Like think about this. If we wanted to keep Alexa, I know she is the manager, but like imagine if she was also maybe still competing in the ring,
Right.
and she was going for a belt. I know we talked about not having storylines with belts, but if we went to NXT 2.0 and we have Toxic Attraction, which is 3 women, one of them is the champion, 2 of them are the tag team
Right, that's
champions, and you have Mandy Rose being like, nobody's gonna beat me. Nobody's gonna beat us. Nobody's gonna take the gold away from us. And then Alexa Bliss comes out just by her lonesome, and she's returned to NXT where she started, of course.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's a big pop. And then from behind, not repackaged, but sort of maybe a reimagined Raquel and Rhea just brutally attack the Gigi and the other
Jane.
one. And thank you. Just
Jane James.
boom. Jane James, Gigi getting absolutely bodied by Rhea and Raquel.
Yeah.
And then Alexa Bliss comes in with like a kendo stick. She likes using the kendo stick. Bam. Right to Mandy.
Yeah, and then you have this 3v3, but also like, yeah, they're going for the tag titles. She's going for the main women's title. And that can spark the Ladies of Doom.
Yeah, and you exactly, you spin that out to 2 different feuds, one for like the main title and then one for the tag team titles.
Yeah,
NXT 2.0 right now is a wild world of strange gimmicks and characters because they're just trying to see, they're basically hawking infinite amounts of shit at the wall to see what sticks.
Yeah.
And when it does, they call them up and they job to Baron Corbin and Madcap.
or you send down legends from the main roster down to NXT and make them champion. Which is
inexplicably.
Yeah.
We're doing that.
Or on the independent scene, I think it would be cool if you had Camille and Kylan King. Maybe it's this thing where it like sparks an NWA or it sparks on Mission Pro, and like you have this sort of thing where like maybe Gail Kim like shows up to these indie shows where Kylan and Camille like pop up and there they are, and she's sort of working with them, and then it ultimately builds up to, I think the NWA have a women's tag team championship, right? Yeah, they do.
I'm not entirely sure. I'm not sure.
I thought they did. Maybe I'm wrong.
They may.
Let us know in the comments.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
But maybe it does lead up to Impact, and that's where Gail comes out. And it's that same sort of thing where like Gail comes out, makes a distraction, and then all of a sudden, boom, Kylan King comes out, and they're like, Kylan King, she's the current Mission Pro Women's Champion, and then all of a sudden Camille comes out, she's the NWA Women's.
What's going on here? What's Camille and Kylan doing in the Impact Zone?
And then they take out whoever are the current women's tag team champions, and or like whoever, like maybe it's like,
or yeah, just whoever.
Maybe it's like a new tag team wins it, and there's the old champions. I don't know who's the
Inspiration.
The Inspiration. They're not current. Oh no, no, the current tag team. No, I remember who the current tag team. It's Tennille Dashwood, and it's theirs. It's not Inspiration. It's what's their
Influencers?
Name? Yeah, it's something like that. I forget. It's Tennille Dashwood and gosh, I can't remember her name. Brandy Lauren?
Rain? No.
Is it Madison Rain? It might be.
Is it? Okay.
Or it's Brandy Lauren. I don't know. Maybe. I forget. Sorry.
Let's see. Sorry.
But it could be that like the title changes hands and then the former champions are in the ring. And then that's where they come out, destroy them, and then it's like, here's going to be the new dominance in the women's tag team. It's you have these two champions who are joining forces with Gail Kim, and these are the Ladies of Doom.
Yeah. The current champions are the Influence, Madison Rain, and Tennille Dashwood.
Okay, so we were right. Okay, cool.
Yes.
And then that way they have a rivalry with some tag team. They make their way up the ranks, and then they eventually get to the tag team goal. And then maybe that can then transition to something that happens on AEW or other places, or it's like, and they just go around and then maybe even go over to Japan and take some tag team gold over there.
See what's up in Stardom. See what's up, Choco Pro.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Show up, and Kylan King turns on the Renegade Twins and Mission Pro and all that. That'd be interesting. Yeah, and you just build this like dominant force within the independent wrestling scene of Gail Kim managing these two powerhouses, and they're just taking names and gold wherever they go.
Taking names and gold.
That'd be cool. But yeah, I think that's okay. So we built basically two different storylines. But I think that it fits both of them in that way.
I just thought of a horrible gimmick for tag team wrestlers. It would probably have to involve Tiffany Stratton in NXT 2.0 right now, and maybe like Carmella, and they would be called the Gold Diggers, where they would just go around and try to win belts because that's all they want. Yeah, it's terrible. I'm sorry.
That's pretty funny though. Yeah,
and they can keep their characters, right? They're like,
they work very well together.
Yeah, Tiffany Stratton is a bit of a powerhouse, kind of daddy's girl. She has big rich girl energy, and then Carmella has always had kind of that glitz and glam to her. So being a tag team would be pretty silly.
That'd be pretty funny. Jesus, but bonus
content.
Yeah, exactly.
For the Patreon
there. We don't have a Patreon, not yet.
Well, we don't. No,
but I think that's a good dream booking of what could potentially be the current day women's female version of the Legion of Doom Road Warriors. We have in WWE Raquel Gonzalez and Rhea Ripley, and in the independent scene we have Kylan King and Camille. So let us know what you think down in the comments, or if you review the podcast, let us know which team would you rather see, or if you have two other women in mind that you would want to pair together to become the Ladies of Doom. Let us know. We'd love to hear about it. To close out the episode, as always, we have a question of the week and a match recommendation. If you want to have us answer a question here on the podcast, you can do so by tweeting at us. We will randomly put out ideas on Twitter of dream matches. But of course, you can reach out to us and say, hey, do this. Or, hey, what do you think about this? And we'll answer it here on the podcast. Or you can also go to our website, unknownarafilms.com/book events. And there's a spot there where you can submit questions. And of course, that's also where you can go and check out every episode of the podcast, all our match recommendations, and in case you miss an episode. The question for this week, I think we'll keep it tag team related in a way, because we are in a heyday for tag team wrestling.
Yeah, especially in AEW, because that's huge. Yeah,
we haven't talked about it on the podcast. We have the reunited Hardys, which is crazy.
There's a lot of dream matches that are about to go down with the Hardys in their farewell tour, as they say, they are hinting that it'll be it for them.
But I guess then an easy question then to jump off of that is, who do you want to see the Hardys face most? Or who do you think should be like a part of this Hardy's farewell tour?
Okay. Obviously, it's already set up in AEW.
Pick what we could sit here and go, we want him to face this tag team, this
one.
Pick one and like explain why.
Okay. I want to see them face the Lucha Bros because
That was what I was gonna say.
it makes the most sense. Like I think stylistically, you kind of have two brothers. One is a bit more low to the ground, a bit more power, and the other one is more striking and has a bit more of the high flying tendencies. And that is a little bit due to probably because Matt can't really do that kind of shit anymore. And Penta is like, of course, getting a little bit older too, but he is still at the top of his game. But Phoenix and Jeff would have really great matches, really great moments together. And I think you have like two really like cool characters / energies in Penta and Phoenix. And that would really mesh well with the Hardys in like a ladder match. Like, oh, that would be really good. Really, really good.
That'd be so cool. Yeah, no, my first pick would have been the Lucha Bros, just because it would just be very entertaining. Like I guess the one that is probably going to happen eventually will be them against the Young Bucks. Like it's going to happen again. It has to, it's the Bucks are the team that proclaims they are the best tag team in professional wrestling. And the Hardys will always remind them that they basically stole their style and basically is inspired by the Hardys, which could possibly be the greatest tag team of all time. And we're already getting to see a lot of really cool tag teams that the Hardys are facing on the independents, and are, as they're going through different places and doing different matches and stuff. But in AEW, I'd love to see them face like a fresh team, and I assume it will happen, but they gotta eventually face Top Flight.
Cool.
And I think that will be very entertaining. I mean, they just had the Hardys just had their match against Private Party, and that was really fun to watch. I just imagine that for these younger tag teams, growing up watching the Hardys probably is like a dream come true.
It'd be really, really, really amazing to be able to wrestle with the people that made you do what you do. Yeah.
I do then think, like, is Top Flight too fast and too high flying now for the Hardys? Will they have to slow down for them? Maybe
a little bit. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that those would be really, really good matchups. Let us know who you want to see the Hardys face in AEW or just in the independents. If there's a tag team that you think would be a dream match for them, let us know on social media or in the comments. To close out the episode, match recommendation of the week. Anthony, it's your turn. What match do you want to recommend to the listeners, to the watchers, that they should go and check out?
Well, to the Book It Vince universe, I will recommend a match from War Games 2019, and that is Team Rhea versus Team Shayna. Most notably, this is the moment, or this is the War Games match where Dakota Kai turns on Tegan Nox, and then the faces still somehow win this match.
Hey, it was a crazy team of Rhea Ripley and Candice LeRae, which, I mean, powerhouse and a veteran of NXT. Who is on Team Shayna? It was Shayna. It was Bianca. It was
Io and Kaylee Ray.
Io and Kaylee Ray. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Right, Kaylee Ray was a surprise.
Yeah.
because she was still UK champion.
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but this picture is from that match.
Yes, it is. If you're listening to the podcast, no, because there's Shotzi.
No, it's a different one. Oh, never mind. Okay, never mind. That's a different one. Sorry, listeners and viewers.
Io. So Anthony has the picture of when Io jumped off the top of the War Game cell, and she put the garbage can over herself and did a jump into the crowd. No, that's the one. That's team Candace, I think.
Yeah,
that's team Candace versus team. Yeah, that was Candace, Raquel. Oh gosh, who else was in it? But yeah, it was. That's the match where the end was Raquel pinned Io. Io was women's champion at the time.
Right.
I think it was the War Games before that. Where she still did I think she did a moonsault off the top of the War Games cell.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's still just Io doing crazy stuff as always. But no, that's a great match. It's War Games is always entertaining as hell. And the women always seem to kill it. So yeah, go check that one out.
It was I think Team Candace versus Team Shotzi.
Right.
So for the viewers, I have it on my phone, but for the listeners, it's Shotzi has Io, Ember Moon, and Rhea Ripley, and Candace has Toni Storm, Dakota Kai, and Raquel.
Hey, go check out both of them because they're both very good.
Yeah, why not? Why not just binge those two women's War Games matches?
But we'll have them linked on our website, of course, as always. So yeah, go check those out. That'll do it for this episode of the podcast. If you enjoyed this, please give it a follow, rate it. However many stars is maximum on the current device that you are currently listening to it on. Leave us a review, even if you want to give us some feedback. We appreciate it. We'd love to know where you're listening from. We'd love to know what you like about the podcast, what you want more of or less of. Please. Constructive criticism is fantastic. We want to bring you the best possible product that we can.
That's right.
Let us know in the comments of the video version as well. What you enjoyed, and if you want to see a dream match, and we can do that very episode in the future. If you want to follow anything else that we do here at Unknown Era, you can do so by following us online at UE_films. You can follow myself on Twitter and Instagram at Barton_Minute. You can follow Mr. Anthony Hall
at Hall and Jokes on Instagram and Twitter.
And of course, you can follow the podcast on Twitter itself at Book It Vince Pod. Thank you very much for listening, ladies and gentlemen. Have yourself a good one. Keep being excellent and go watch some wrestling.